Welcome to the Love Your Story podcast and one of the 21 Life Connection Challenges. These are 21 life hacks that have been set up to help you connect, take care of your fabulous self, and create possibility in your one and only life. They're also set up to help you get out of the doldrums and the anxiety that's looming so much around us right now, especially with all of the COVID stuff and the intensity of 2020 with all of the separation that was created. So these are very specifically set to create creation. And today we are looking at challenge number 12 specifically. Our power lies in our ability to direct our own life story with every choice and every thought that we make. And so practicing with life hacks and life tools, intentionally using these skills to create the life we want is what we are all about. So today, number 12, give someone in your sphere of influence hearty encouragement for something they are doing. Do what you can to forward their agenda. That's what we're focusing on today. Stay tuned for how giving really is the key to receiving. Stories are our lives in language. Welcome to the Love Your Story podcast. I'm Lori Lee, and I'm excited for our future together of telling stories, evaluating our own stories, and lifting ourselves and others to greater places because of our control over our stories. This podcast is about empowerment and giving you, the listener, ideas to work with in making your stories work for you. Story power serves you best when you know how to use it. A few years back, I read a book called Love is the Killer App. It espoused the novel idea that the very most successful way to do business was to actually help other people. When you interview a client, spoke with an associate, met someone new, the first thing that you do is you consider what you know, who you know, what books you've read. You search your arsenal of value and see what you can give to the other person to support them where they are. You give. Do you know someone you could introduce them to that could further their agenda? Have you read a book that would support what they're currently working on that you could recommend to them? Have you found a digital tool that would support their forward movement that you could share? In a world where people are always pushing their own agenda, this was novel and fresh and pioneering, and I really, really liked the idea. So if I can, what I want to do today is share just a little excerpt from this book. Chris had worked with me for only a few weeks when I started to notice the energy and attitude that dominated his interactions. He had an agenda and a platform that were important to him. He'd put in a lot of time, focus, and money, and he was aching for its success. As I watched him, I noticed that he was very intent on finding out how others could push his agenda forward. It wasn't new. In fact, most people function this way. But with everyone pushing their own agenda, it was like slogging through mud, and not in a fun mud wrestling sort of way. He was a sweet guy, smart, educated, focused. But his background had taught him that one got ahead by self-serving attitudes. How does one succeed if they aren't pushing their own agenda, after all? One day, after watching how the others in our office worked, he sent me an email. It said, "I have to change. I'm out of step. What do I do?" "Be a love cat," I replied. And that means offer your wisdom freely, give away your address book to everyone who wants it, and always be human. And when I told him about the advantages of being a love cat, and that the 3 necessary steps to getting there were sharing your knowledge and your network and your compassion, he listened. Simply put, love is the killer app. Those of us who use love as a point of differentiation in business will separate ourselves from our competitors, just as world-class distance runners separate themselves from the rest of the pack, trailing behind them. Share your intangibles. What are these intangibles? Intangibles are knowledge. I mean, everything you have learned and everything you continue to learn and pick up on while you're doing what you do. Share the books you've read. Think of your brain as a piggy bank. Smart people fill it up with a wealth of knowledge as compared to those who sit around and wait for things to arrive. And then when you filled up that piggy bank, then you can share it out, make those connections, help those people, and in return, that creates a synergy. The second intangible is network, your entire web of relations. In the 21st century, our success is going to be based on people we know. Everyone in our address book is a potential partner for every person that we meet. Companies, organizations, individuals are most highly valued for their web of relationships. When you start sharing and connecting others who don't yet know each other, you are adding to your network by sharing the love and creating more valuable connections for them, all while serving others and just creating a space where you have connected them in a really positive way, and that puts you in a very special light. The third is compassion. I mean that personal quality that machines can't possess, that connects us through warmth, eye contact, physical touch, words. If we can truly care about the agenda of others and seek to help them move their agenda forward rather than your own, you will see changes. This is the Love Cat way. That's the excerpt from the book. Okay, I want to share some personal experiences with you to kind of shed a light on what this looks like in real life and outside of business. So the first one is, I've been in a lot of network groups and training groups and entrepreneurial support style groups. And I've noticed that whenever we have a chance to make requests for support. So something as simple as I might make a request for a review of the podcast, let's say, and I put that out to the group. And I have just been surprised over and over at how difficult it is for people to even take, let's say, 5 minutes, if that, to support someone else's agenda, to hop onto iTunes and leave a review. They all show up hoping that someone's going to give them their next best client, but they aren't willing to support one another. It's been super interesting for me to watch. And because I've watched it and seen it and felt from the other side how frustrating it is not to be able to get just simple support from the people around you, I make an extra effort to make sure that I do what I can to support other people's agendas. I've even had when people commit to leaving a podcast review that they won't follow through because they're so involved in themselves. So it makes it easy to make a splash in a room like this when you go in willing to support them. You can really, really shine. The second experience that I wanted to share around this was at the end of 2019, I invited a group of influencers together, and I actually shared the episode at the end of 2020. But the whole purpose of that meeting was so that each influencer could share with the other influencers what they were working on. And then each of those people that were there were to see how they could forward the other person's agenda. And of course, it came around because each person got their time in the limelight. But it wasn't about pushing your own agenda. It was about seeing what you could do to help the other people and connect and really make those connections strong. And it's amazing how much getting connected to the right person or the business can help you, and that you might just be one referral away from that. This was something that I feel like is a really important thing to practice because we don't ever do anything alone. It doesn't matter whether this is in the workplace or whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you are at home or retired. We don't do things alone. We do things in community. And when we share what we know and what we have and who we are, and we get that same sort of thing from other people, the world becomes so much more colorful. And possibility just exponentially manifests itself. Another example, during Christmas, I throw this retreat for my sister and my sister-in-laws. And this past year, we were doing a roundtable and sharing what we were about for 2021. And I was talking about the new 21 Challenges group platform that we were launching. And my dear sister-in-law pipes up and she says, "If you need help selling your book, I can do that." Like it wasn't a request I had made. She was just coming from this love cat place of, I can help you. And those beautiful words are just the sort of thing that we don't hear often enough. This is the type of thing that I'm talking about. Why is this challenge so powerful? Because by these small acts of sharing who you are and what you already have, it's no skin off your back. It's what we know, things that we've learned. We can help someone else out immeasurably. It's an act of kindness, but it's also an act of networking with great karma. Just as was illustrated in the influencers example that I just gave, when you give others, they will also give to you. You build relationships on caring and sharing instead of on competition and self-promotion, and that's a totally different way to build. The people in your life, in your sphere of influence, who have agendas that they're pouring their heart and soul into, will be so grateful for someone else to care about what they are doing. It's such an easy way to shine, to connect, to network, to share, to build valuable relationships in the very best way. Here's a little clip from one of our challengees.
Give someone in your sphere of influence hearty encouragement for something they are doing. Do what you can to forward their agenda. I don't do this enough. It's easy to get caught up in our own agendas, sometimes simply by virtue of overextending ourselves. But what an easy gift to give someone you know and like, the gift of encouragement. At random or in somewhat gratuitous fashion, no less. I think it's a wonderful way to let someone know that you appreciate what they do, and your appreciation could come at just the right moment.
Martha Beck, the international life coach, said, quote, "Relationships are the most important human experience available to us. I realized in my 20s that the meaning of life is not about what happens to people. It's about what happens between people. Learning to connect with each other, to experience empathy, to step outside our own experience, and to experience love in all its forms. These, I believe, are the experiences for which we became human." Unquote. While this challenge is definitely about stepping above the crowd, creating relationships on a higher level of doing, it's a very karmic way to approach your personal networking with family and friends and in your career. And when people realize that you work as a love cat, that you're passionate and kind, a doer and a helper, they become increasingly aware of who you are and what you are doing and how they can help and build and nurture you. So be a love cat. Today, find someone in your sphere of influence and do something to support them just for the sake of testing this out. And you might find that you like it so much you'll start working this way. And how much better would the world be then? A quick word from our sponsor.
This show is brought to you by the 21 Challenges group platform. If you are a leader of a group, any type of group, book club, network marketing, employee group, a youth group, a friend group, and you're in need of a fun, fresh, positive way to connect during this disconnected time, we've got an online program that'll create fun, stretching connection and engagement with your team. Your team will get a fully immersive platform for the 21 Challenges and weekly coaching with Lori Lee as we spend 3 weeks creating awesome possibility. LoveYourStoryPodcast.com and look for the group link.
We'll see you in 2 weeks for our next episode of the Love Your Story podcast and how you can create your best life on purpose.